Act 4 of Henry VI, Part 2, Scene 1. The coast of Kent. Alarum. Fight at sea. Ordnance goes off. Enter Captain, a master, a master's mate, Walter Whitmore, and others. With them Suffolk and others, prisoners.
The gaudy blabbing and remorseful days crept into the bosom of the sea. And now loud howling wolves arouse the jades that drag the tragic melancholy night, who with their drowsy, slow, and flagging wings clip dead men's graves, and from their misty jaws breathe foul contagious darkness in the air. Therefore bring forth the soldiers of our prize, whilst our pinnace anchors in the Downs. Here shall they make their ransom on the sand, or with their blood stain this discoloured shore. Master, this prisoner freely give I thee, and thou that art his mate, make boot of this. The other, Walter Whitmore, is thy share.
What is my ransom, master? Let me know.
1,000 crowns, or else lay down your head.
What, think you much to pay 2,000 crowns, and bear the name and port of gentlemen? Cut both their villainous throats, for die you shall. The lives of those which we have lost in fight be counterpoised with such a petty sum.
I'll give it, sir, and therefore spare my life.
And so will I, and ride home for it straight.
I lost my eye in laying the prize abroad, and therefore to revenge it shalt thou die.
To Suffolk.
And so should these, if I might have my will.
Be not so rash. Take ransom, let him live.
Look on my gorge, I am a gentleman. Rate me at what thou wilt, thou shalt be paid.
And so am I. My name is Walter Whitmore. How now? Why start'st thou? What? Doth death affright?
Thy name affrights me, in whose sound is death. A cunning man did calculate my birth, and told me that by water I should die. Yet let not this make thee be bloody-minded. Thy name is Gaultier, being rightly sounded.
Gaultier or Walter, which it is I care not. Never yet did base dishonour blur our name, but with our sword we wiped away the blot. Therefore, when merchant-like I sell revenge, broke be my sword, my arm torn and defaced, and I proclaimed a coward to the world.
Stay, Whitmore, for thy prisoner is a prince, the Duke of Suffolk, William de la Pole.
The Duke of Suffolk, muffled up in rags.
Ay, but these rags are no part of the Duke. Jove sometimes went disguised, and why not I?
But Jove was never slain, as thou shalt be.
Obscure and lowly swain, King Henry's blood, the honourable blood of Lancaster, must not be shed by such a jaded groom. Hast thou not kissed thy hand and held my stirrup? Bareheaded, plodded by my footcloth mule, and thought thee happy when I shook my head? How often hast thou waited at my cup, fed from my trencher, kneeled down at the board when I have feasted with Queen Margaret? Remember it, and let it make thee crestfallen. Ay, and allay this thy abortive pride, how in our voiding lobby hast thou stood and duly waited for my coming forth. This hand of mine hath writ in thy behalf, and therefore shall it charm thy riotous tongue.
Speak, Captain. Shall I stab the forlorn swain?
First, let my words stab him as he hath me.
Base slave, thy words are blunt, and so art thou.
Convey him hence, and on our longboat side strike off his head.
Thou darest not, for thy own.
Yes, Pole.
Pole!
Pool. Sir Pool, lord. Ay, kennel, puddle, sink, whose filth and dirt troubles the silver spring where England drinks. Now will I dam up this thy yawning mouth, for swallowing the treasures of the realm. Thy lips that kissed the Queen shall sweep the ground, and thou that smilest at good Duke Humphrey's death, against the senseless winds shall grin in vain, who in contempt shall hiss thee again. And wedded be thou to the hags of hell for daring to affy a mighty lord unto the daughter of a worthless king, having neither subject, wealth, nor diadem. By devilish policy art thou grown great, and like ambitious Sylla overgorged with gobbets of thy mother's bleeding heart. By thee Anjou and Maine were sold to France. The false revolting Normans thoroughly disdain to call us lord, and Picardy hath slain their governors, surprised our forts, and sent the ragged soldiers wounded home. The princely Warwick and the Nevilles all, whose dreadful swords were never drawn in vain, as hating thee, are rising up in arms. And now the house of York, thrust from the crown by shameful murder of a guiltless king, and lofty, proud, encroaching tyranny, burns with revenging fire, whose hopeful colours advance our half-faced sun, striving to shine under the which is writ Invitus nubibus. The commons here in Kent are up in arms, and, to conclude, reproach and beggary is crept into the palace of our king. And all by thee, away, convey him hence.
Oh, that I were a god to shoot forth thunder upon these paltry, servile, abject drudges. Small things make base men proud. This villain here, being captain of a pinnace, threatens more than Bargalus, the strong Illyrian pirate. Drones suck not eagle's blood, but rob beehives. It is impossible that I should die by such a lowly vassal as thyself. Thy words move rage and not remorse in me. I go of message from the Queen to France. I charge thee waft me safely across the Channel.
Walter.
Come, Suffolk, I must waft thee to thy death.
Gelidus timor occupat artus. It is thee I fear.
Thou shalt have cause to fear before I leave thee. What? Are ye daunted now? Now will ye stoop?
My gracious lord, entreat him, speak him fair.
Suffolk's imperial tongue is stern and rough, used to command, untaught to plead for favour. Far be it we should honour such as these with humble suit, nor rather let my head stoop to the block, than these knees bow to any save to the God of heaven and to my king, and sooner dance upon a bloody pole than stand uncovered to the vulgar groom. True nobility is exempt from fear. More can I bear than you dare execute.
Hale him away, and let him talk no more.
Come, soldiers, show what cruelty ye can, that this my death may never be forgot. Great men oft die by vile Bezonians. A Roman sorter and bandito slave murdered sweet Tully. Brutus' bastard hand stabbed Julius Caesar. Savage islanders Pompey the Great. And Suffolk dies by pirates.
Exeunt Whitmore and others with Suffolk.
And as for these whose ransom we have set, it is our pleasure one of them to depart. Therefore come you with us, and let him go.
Exeunt all but the first gentleman. Re-enter Whitmore with Suffolk's body.
There let his head and lifeless body lie, until the Queen his mistress bury it.
Exit.
O barbarous and bloody spectacle! His body will I bear unto the king. If he revenge it not, yet will his friends. So will the Queen, that living held him dear.
Exit with the body. Scene 2. Blackheath. Enter George Bevis and John Holland.
Come and get thee a sword, though made of a lath. They have been up these 2 days.
They have the more need to sleep now, then.
I tell thee, Jack Cade the clothier means to dress the Commonwealth, and turn it, and set a new nap upon it.
So he had need, for 'tis threadbare. Well, I say, it was never merry world in England since gentlemen came up.
O miserable age! Virtue is not regarded in handicraftsmen.
The nobility think scorn to go in leather aprons.
Nay more, the king's council are no good workmen.
True, and yet it is said, labour in thy vocation, which is as much to say as, let the magistrates be labouring men, and therefore should we be magistrates.
Thou hast hit it, for there's no better sign of a brave mind than a hard hand.
I see them. There's Best's son, the tanner of Wigham.
He shall have the skin of our enemies to make dog's leather of.
And Dick the butcher.
Then is sin struck down like an ox, and iniquity's throat cut like a calf.
And Smith the weaver.
Argo, their thread of life is spun.
Come, come, let's fall in with them.
Drum. Enter Cade, Dick, Smith the weaver, and a Sawyer, with infinite numbers.
We, John Cade, so termed of our supposed father.
Aside.
Rather of stealing a cade of herrings.
For our enemies shall fall before us, inspired with the spirit of putting down kings and princes. Command silence.
Silence!
Me father was a Mortimer.
Aside.
He was an honest man and a good bricklayer.
Me mother a Plantagenet.
Aside.
I knew her well. She was a midwife.
Me wife descended of the Lacys.
Aside.
She was indeed a peddler's daughter, and sold many laces.
Aside.
But now of late, notable to travel with her furred pack, she washes bucks here at home.
Therefore am I of an honourable house.
Aside.
Ay, by my faith the field is honourable, and there was he born under a hedge, for his father had never a house but the cage.
Valiant I am.
Aside.
Must needs, for beggary is valiant.
I am able to endure much.
Aside.
No question of that, for I have seen him whip 3 market days together.
I fear neither sword nor fire.
Aside.
He need not fear the sword, for his coat is of proof.
Aside.
But methinks he should stand in fear of fire, being Birdie the Hand for stealing of sheep.
Be brave, then, for your captain is brave, and vows reformation. There shall be in England 7 halfpenny loaves sold for a penny. The 3-hooped pot shall have 10 hoops, and I will make it felony to drink small beer. All the realm shall be in common, and in Cheapside shall my palfrey go to grass, and when I am king, as king I will be.
God save your majesty.
I thank you, good people. There shall be no money. All shall eat and drink on my score, and I will apparel them all in one livery, that they may agree like brothers, and worship me their lord.
The first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers.
Nay, that I mean to do. Is not this a lamentable thing, that of the skin of an innocent lamb should be made parchment? That parchment, being scribbled o'er, should undo a man? Some say the bee stings, but I say 'tis the bee's wax. For I did but sail once to a thing, and I was never mine own man since. How now, who's there?
Enter some, bringing forward the Clerk of Chatham.
The Clerk of Chatham. He can write and read and cast account.
Oh, monstrous!
We took him setting of boys' copies.
Here's a villain.
Has a book in his pocket with red letters in't.
Nay, then he is a conjurer.
Nay, he can make obligations and write court-hand.
I am sorry for it. The man is a proper man of mine honour. Unless I find him guilty, he shall not die. Come hither, sirrah. I must examine thee. What is the name?
Emmanuel.
They used to write it on the top of letters. 'Twill go hard with you.
Let me alone. Dost thou use to write the name, or hast thou a marked thyself, like an honest plain-dealing man?
Sir, I thank God, I have been so well brought up that I can write my name.
He hath confessed. Away with him. He is a villain and a traitor.
Away with him, I say. Hang him with his pen and inkhorn about his neck.
Exit one with the clerk. Enter Michael.
Where's our general?
Here I am, thou particular fellow.
Fly, fly, fly. Sir Humphrey Stafford and his brother are hard by, with the king's forces.
Stand, villain, stand, or I'll fell thee down. I shall be encountered with a man as good as himself. He's but a knight, is a.
No.
To equal him, I will make myself a knight presently.
Kneels.
Rise up, Sir John Mortimer.
Rises.
Now have at him.
Enter Sir Humphrey and William Stafford, with drum and soldiers.
Rebellious hinds, the filth and scum of Kent, marked for the gallows, lay your weapons down. Home to your cottages, forsake this groom. The king is merciful. If you revolt...
But angry Rathlin inclined to blood if you go forward, therefore yield or die.
As for these silken-coated slaves, I pass not. It is to you, good people, that I speak, over whom in time to come I hope to reign, for I am rightful heir unto the crown.
Villain, thy father was a plasterer, and thou thyself a shearman, art thou not?
And Adam was a gardener.
And what of that?
Marry this, Edmund Mortimer, Earl of March, married the Duke of Clarence' daughter, did a not?
Aye, sir.
Be her he had 2 children at one birth.
That's false.
Aye, there's the question, but I say 'tis true. The elder of them, being put to nurse, was by a beggar woman stolen away, and ignorant of his birth and parentage, became a bricklayer when he came to age. His son am I. Deny it if you can.
Nay, 'tis too true, therefore he shall be king.
Sir, he made a chimney in my father's house, and the bricks are alive at this day to testify it. Therefore deny it not.
And will you credit this base drudge's words? That speaks he knows not what?
Aye, marry will we, therefore get ye gone.
Jack Cade, the Duke of York, hath taught you this.
Aside.
It lies, for I invented it myself. Go to, sirrah. Tell the king from me that for his father's sake, Henry the Fifth, in whose time boys went to span counter for French crowns, I am content he shall reign, but I'll be protector over him.
And furthermore, we'll have the Lord Saye's head for selling the dukedom of Maine.
And good reason, for thereby is England mained, and fain to go with a staff, but that my puissance holds it up. Fellow kings, I tell you that Lord Saye hath gelded the Commonwealth, and made it an eunuch, and more than that, he can speak French, and therefore he is a traitor.
O gross and miserable ignorance!
Nay, answer if you can. The Frenchmen are our enemies. Go to then, I ask but this. Can he that speaks with the tongue of an enemy be a good counsellor, or no?
No, no, and therefore we'll have his head.
Well, seeing gentle words will not prevail, assail them with the army of the king.
Herald, away, and throughout every town proclaim them traitors that are up with Cade, that those which fly before the battle ends may, even in their wives' and children's sight, be hanged up for example at their doors. And you that be the king's friends, follow me.
Exeunt William Stafford and Sir Humphrey, and soldiers.
And you that loathe the commons, follow me. Now show yourselves men, 'tis for liberty. We will not leave own lord, own gentlemen, spare none but such as go in clouted shoon, for they are thrifty honest men, and such as would, but that they dare not, take our parts.
They are all in order, and march toward us.
But then are we in order, when we are most out of order. Come, march forward.
Exeunt. Scene 3. Another part of Blackheath. Alarums to the fight, wherein Sir Humphrey and William Stafford are slain. Enter Cade and the rest.
Where's Dick, the butcher of Ashford?
Here, sir.
they fell before thee like sheep and oxen, and thou behavedst thyself as if thou'dst been in thine own slaughter-house. Therefore thus will I reward thee. The Lent shall be as long again as it is, and thou shalt have a license to kill for 100 lacking one.
I desire no more.
And to speak truth, thou deservest no less. This monument of the victory will I bear.
Putting on Sir Humphrey's brigandine.
And the body shall be dragged at my horse heels till I do come to London, where we will have the mayor's sword borne before us.
If we mean to thrive and do good, break open the jails and let out the prisoners.
Fear not that, I warrant thee. Come, let's march towards London.
Exeunt. Scene 4. London, the Palace. Enter King Henry the Sixth, with a supplication, and the Queen with Suffolk's head, Buckingham, and Lord Saye.
Oft have I heard that grief softens the mind, and makes it fearful and degenerate. Think therefore on revenge, and cease to weep. But who can cease to weep and look on this? Here may his head lie on my throbbing breast, but where's the body that I should embrace?
What answer makes your grace to the rebel's supplication?
I'll send some holy bishop to entreat, for God forbid so many simple souls should perish by the sword. And I myself, rather than bloody war shall cut them short, will parley with Jack Cade their general. But stay, I'll read it over once again.
Ah, barbarous villains! Hath this lovely face ruled like a wandering planet over me, and could it not enforce them to relent, that were unworthy to behold the same?
Lord Saye, Jack Cade hath sworn to have thy head.
Ay, but I hope your highness shall have his.
How now, madam? Still lamenting and mourning for Suffolk's death? I fear me, love, if that I had been dead, thou wouldst not have mourned so much for me.
No, my love, I should not mourn, but die for thee.
Enter a messenger.
How now? What news? Why comest thou in such haste?
The rebels are in Suffolk. Fly, my lord. Jack Cade proclaims himself Lord Mortimer, descended from the Duke of Clarence's house, and calls your grace usurper openly, and vows to crown himself in Westminster. His army is a ragged multitude of hinds and peasants, rude and merciless. Sir Humphrey Stafford and his brother's death hath given them heart and courage to proceed. All scholars, lawyers, courtiers, gentlemen, they call false caterpillars, and intend their death.
O graceless men, they know not what they do.
My gracious lord, return to Killingworth, until a power be raised to put them down.
Ah, were the Duke of Suffolk now alive, these Kentish rebels would be soon appeased.
Lord Saye, the traitors hate thee, therefore away with us to Killingworth.
So might your grace's person be in danger. The sight of me is odious in their eyes, and therefore in this city will I stay, and live alone, as secret as I may.
Enter another messenger.
Jack Cade hath got in London Bridge. The citizens fly and forsake their houses. The rascal people, thirsting after prey, join with the traitor, and they jointly swear to spoil the city and your royal court.
Then linger not, my lord. Away, take horse.
Come, Margaret. God, our hope, will succour us.
My hope is gone. Now Suffolk is deceased.
Farewell, my lord. Trust not the Kentish rebels.
Trust nobody, for fear you be betrayed.
The trust I have is in mine innocence, and therefore am I bold and resolute.
Exeunt. Scene 5. London, the Tower. Enter Scales upon the tower, walking. Then enter 2 or 3 citizens below.
How now? Is Jack Cade slain?
No, my lord, nor likely to be slain, for they have won the bridge, killing all those that withstand them. The Lord Mayor craves aid of your honour from the Tower, to defend the city from the rebels.
Such aid as I can spare you shall command. but I am troubled here with them myself. The rebels have essayed to win the tower. But get you to Smithfield and gather head, and thither I will send you Matthew Goff. Fight for your king, your country, and your lives. And so, farewell, for I must hence again.
Exeunt. Scene 6. London. Cannon Street. Enter Cade and the rest, and strikes his staff on London stone.
Now is Mortimer lord of this city, and here sitting upon London stone I charge and command that of the city's cost the pissing conduit run nothing but claret wine this first year of our reign. And now henceforward it shall be treason for any that calls me other than Lord Mortimer.
Enter a soldier running.
Jack Cade! Jack Cade!
Knock him down there.
If this fellow be wise, he'll never call you Jack Cade more. I think he hath a very fair warning.
My lord, there's an army gathered together in Smithfield.
Come then, let's go fight with them. But first, go and set London Bridge on fire, and if you can, burn down the tower too. Come, let's away.
Exeunt. Scene 7. London. Smithfield. Alarums. Matthew Goff is slain, and all the rest. Then enter Cade with his company.
So, sirs, now go some and pull down the Savoy. Others to the Inns of Court. Down with them all.
I have a suit under your lordship.
Be it a lordship, thou shalt have it for that word.
Only that the laws of England may come out of your mouth.
Aside.
Mass, 'twill be sore law then, for he was thrust in the mouth with a spear, and 'tis not whole yet.
Aside.
Nay, John, it will be stinking law, for his breath stinks with eating toasted cheese.
I have thought upon it. It shall be so. Away, burn all the records of the realm. My mouth shall be the Parliament of England.
Aside.
Then we are like to have biting statutes, unless his teeth be pulled out.
And henceforward all things shall be in common.
Enter a messenger.
My lord, a prize, a prize. Here's the Lord Saye, which sold the towns in France, he that made us pay 1 15 and 1 shilling to the pound, the last subsidy.
Enter Bevis and Lord Saye.
Well, he shall be beheaded for it 10 times. Ah, thou Saye, thou Sarge, nay, thou buckram lord, now art thou within point blank of our jurisdiction regal. What canst thou answer to my majesty for giving up of Normandy unto Monsieur Bazy Micule, the Dauphin of France? Be it known unto thee by these presents, even the presence of Lord Mortimer, that I am the besom that must sweep the court clean of such filth as thou art. Thou hast most traitorously corrupted the youth of the realm in erecting a grammar school. And whereas before our forefathers had no other books but the score and the tally, thou hast caused printing to be used, and contrary to the king, his crown and dignity, thou hast built a paper mill. It will be proved to thy face that thou hast men about thee that usually talk of a noun and a verb, and such abominable words as no Christian ear can endure to hear. Thou hast appointed justices of peace to call poor men before them about matters they were not able to answer. Moreover, thou hast put them in prison. and because they could not raid, thou hast hanged them, when indeed only for that cause they have been most worthy to live. Thou dost ride in a footcloth, dost thou not?
What of that?
Marry, thou oughtest not to let the horse wear a cloak, when honester men than thou go in their hose and doublets.
And work in their shirt too, as myself, for example, that am a butcher.
You men of Kent!
What say you of Kent?
Nothing but this. 'Tis bona terra, mala gens.
Away with him, away with him! Speaks Latin.
Hear me but speak, and bear me where you will. Kent, in the commentaries Caesar writ, is termed the civilest place of this isle. Sweet is the country because full of riches, the people liberal, valiant, active, and wealthy, which makes me hope you are not void of pity. I sold not Maine, I lost not Normandy, yet to recover them would lose my life. Justice with favour have I always done. Prayers and tears have moved me, gifts could never. When have I aught exacted at your hands, but to maintain the king, the realm, and you? Large gifts have I bestowed on learned clerks, because my book preferred me to the king. And seeing ignorance is the curse of God, knowledge the wing wherewith we fly to heaven, unless you be possessed with devilish spirits, you cannot but forbear to murder me. This tongue hath parlayed unto foreign kings, for you behoof.
When struckest thou one blow in the field?
Great men have reaching hands. Oft have I struck those I never saw, and struck them dead.
O monstrous coward! What, to come behind folks?
These cheeks are pale for watching for your good.
Give him a box o' the ear, and that will make him red again.
Long sitting to determine poor men's causes hath made me full of sickness and diseases.
Ye shall have a hempen cardle then, and the help of hatchet.
Why dost thou quiver, man?
The palsy, and not fear, provokes me.
Nay, and nods at us, as how should say, I'll be even with you. I'll say if his head will stand steadier on a pole, or no. Take him away and behead him.
Tell me wherein have I offended most? Have I affected wealth or honour? Speak! Are my chests filled up with extorted gold? Is my apparel sumptuous to behold? Whom have I injured, that ye seek my death? These hands are free from guiltless bloodshedding, this breast from harbouring foul deceitful thoughts. Oh, let me live!
Aside.
I fail remorse in myself with his words, but I'll bridle it. He shall die an it be for pleading so well for his life. Away with him! He has a familiar under his tongue. He speaks not a God's name. Go, take him away, I say, and strike off his head presently, and then break into his son-in-law's house, Sir James Cromer, and strike off his head, and bring them both upon 2 poles hither.
It shall be done.
Ah, countrymen, if when you make your prayers God should be so obdurate as yourselves, how would it fare with your departed souls, and therefore yet relent and save my life?
Away with him, and do as I command ye.
Exalt some with Lord Saye.
The proudest peer in the realm shall not wear a head on his shoulders, unless a pay me tribute. There shall not a maid be married, but she shall pay to me her maidenhead ere they have it. Men shall hold of me in capite. And we charge and command that their wives be as free as heart can wish or tongue can tell.
My lord, when shall we go to Cheapside, and take up commodities upon our bills?
Marry, presently.
Oh, brave!
Re-enter one with the heads.
But is not this braver? Let them kiss one another, for they loved well when they were alive. Now part 'em again, lest they consult about the giving up of some more towns in France. Soldiers, defer the spoil of the city until night. For with these borne before us, instead of maces, will we ride through the streets, and at every corner have them kiss. Away!
Exeunt. Scene 8. Southwark. Alarum and retreat. Enter Cade and all his ramblement.
Up Fish Street, down St. Magnus Corner, kill and knock down, throw them into Thames.
Sound a parley.
What noise is this I hear? Dare any be so bold to sound retreat or parley, when I command them kill?
Enter Buckingham and Clifford attended.
Ay, here they be that dare and will disturb thee. No, Cade, we come ambassadors from the king unto the commons whom thou hast misled, and here pronounce free pardon to them all that will forsake thee and go home in peace.
What say ye, countrymen? Will ye relent and yield to mercy whilst 'tis offered you, or let a rebel lead you to your deaths? Who loves the king and will embrace his pardon, fling up his cap and say, God save his majesty? Who hateth him and honours not his father, Henry the Fifth, that made all France to quake? Shake he his weapon at us and pass by.
God save the king! God save the king!
What, Buckingham and Clifford, are ye so brave? And you base peasants, do ye believe him? Will you needs be hanged with your pardons about your necks? Hath my sword therefore broke through London gates, that you should leave me at the White Hart in Southwark? I thought ye would never have given out these arms till you had recovered your ancient freedom. But you are all recreants and dastards, and delight to live in slavery to the nobility. Let them break your backs with burthens, take your houses over your heads, ravish your wives and daughters before your faces. For me, I will make shift for one. And so God's curse light upon you all.
We'll follow Cade! We'll follow Cade!
Is Cade the son of Henry the Fifth, that thus ye do exclaim you'll go with him? Will he conduct you through the heart of France, and make the meanest of you earls and dukes? Alas, he hath no home, no place to fly to, nor knows he how to live but by the spoil, unless by robbing of your friends and us. Were it not a shame that whilst you live at Jar, the fearful French, whom you late vanquished, should make a start o'erseas and vanquish you? Methinks already in this civil broil I see them lording it in London streets, crying Villiagol unto all they meet. Better 10,000 base-born Cades miscarry, than you should stoop unto a Frenchman's mercy. To France, and get what you have lost. Spare England, for it is your native coast. Henry hath money, you are strong and manly. God on our side, doubt not of victory.
At Clifford! At Clifford! We'll follow the king and Clifford!
Ah, was ever feather so lightly blown to and fro as this multitude? The name of Henry the Fifth hales them to 100 mischiefs, and makes them leave me desolate. I say them lay their heads together to surprise me. My sword make way for me, for here is no staying. In despite of the devils and hell, half through the very midst of you. And heavens and honour be witness, that no want of resolution in me, but only me followers' base and ignominious treasons, makes me betake me to my hales.
Exit.
What, is he fled? Go some and follow him. And he that brings his head unto the king shall have 1,000 crowns for his reward.
Exeunt some of them.
Follow me, soldiers. We'll devise a mean to reconcile you all unto the king.
Exeunt. Scene 9. Kenilworth Castle. Sound trumpets. Enter King Henry the Sixth, Queen Margaret and Somerset on the terrace.
Was ever king that joyed an earthly throne, and could command no more content than I. No sooner was I crept out of my cradle, but I was made a king at 9 months old. Was never subject long to be a king, as I do long and wish to be a subject.
Enter Buckingham and Clifford.
Health and glad tidings to your majesty.
Why, Buckingham, is the traitor Cade surprised, or is he but retired to make him strong?
Enter below multitudes, with halters about their necks.
He is fled, my lord, and all his powers do yield. And humbly thus, with halters on their necks, expect your highness's doom of life or death.
Then, heaven, set ope thy everlasting gates to entertain my vows of thanks and praise. Soldiers, this day have you redeemed your lives, and showed how well you love your prince and country. Continue still in this so good a mind, and Henry, though he be unfortunate, assure yourselves, will never be unkind. And so, with thanks and pardon to you all, I do dismiss you to your several countries.
God save the king! God save the king!
Enter a messenger.
Please it your grace to be advertised, the Duke of York is newly come from Ireland, and with a puissant and a mighty power of gallow-glasses and stout kerns is marching hitherward in proud array, and still proclaimeth as he comes along his arms are only to remove from thee the Duke of Somerset, whom he terms traitor.
Thus stands my state, twixt Cade and York distressed, like to a ship that, having scaped a tempest, is straightway calmed and boarded with a pirate. But now is Cade driven back, his men dispersed, and now is York in arms to second him. I pray thee, Buckingham, go and meet him, and ask him what's the reason of these arms. Tell him I'll send Duke Edmund to the Tower, and Somerset, we'll commit thee thither until his army be dismissed from him.
My lord, I'll yield myself to prison willingly, or unto death, to do my country good.
In any case, be not too rough in terms, for he is fierce, and cannot brook hard language.
I will, my lord, and doubt not so to deal, as all things shall redound unto your good.
Come, wife, let's in, and learn to govern better. For yet may England curse my wretched reign.
Flourish. Exeunt. Scene 10. Kent. Iden's garden. Enter Cade.
Fie on ambition! Fie on myself that have a sword, and yet am ready to famish. These 5 days have I hid me in these woods, and darst not peep out, for all the country is laid for me. But now am I so hungry, that if I might have a lace of me life for 1,000 years, I could stay no longer. Wherefore on a brick wall have I climbed into this garden, to see if I can eat grass, or pick a salad another while, which is not amiss to cool a man's stomach this hot weather. And I think this word salad was born to do me good, for many a time, but for a salad, my brain pan had been cleft with a brown bell. And many a time, when I have been dry and bravely marching, it hath served me instead for a quart pot to drink in. And now the word salad must serve me to feed on.
Enter Iden.
Lord, who would live turmoiled in the court, and may enjoy such quiet walks as these? This small inheritance my father left me contenteth me, and worth a monarchy. I seek not to wax great by others' waning, or gather wealth, I care not with what envy. Sufficeth that I have maintains my state, and sends the poor well pleased from my gate.
Here's the lord of the soil come to seize me for a stray, for entering his fee simple without leave. Ah, villain, thou wilt betray me, and get 1,000 crowns of the king, carrying my head to him. But I'll make thee eat iron like an ostrich, and swallow me sword like a great pin, ere thou and I part.
Why, rude companion, whatsoever thou be, I know thee not. Why then should I betray thee? Is it not enough to break into my garden, and like a thief to come rob my grounds, climbing my walls in spite of me the owner, but thou wilt brave me with these saucy terms?
Brave thee? I be the best blood that ever was broached, and bared thee too. Look on me well, I have ate no meat these 5 days. Yet come thou and the 5 men, and if I do not leave you all as dead as a door-nail, I pray God I may never eat grass more.
Nay, it shall never be said, while England stands, that Alexander Iden, an esquire of Kent, took odds to combat a poor famished man. Oppose thy steadfast gazing eyes to mine. See if thou canst outface me with thy looks. Set limb to limb, and thou art far the lesser. Thy hand is but a finger to my fist, thy leg a stick compared with this truncheon. My foot shall fight with all the strength thou hast, and if my arm be heaved in the air, thy grave is digged already in the earth. As for words, whose greatness answers words, let this my sword report what speech forbears.
By me valour, the most complete champion that ever I heard. Still, if thou turn the edge, or cut not out the burly boned clown in chines of beef, ere thou sleep in thy sheath, I beseech God on me knees thou mayst be turned to hobnails.
Here they fight. Cade falls.
Oh, I am slain. Famine and no other hath slain me. Let 10,000 devils come against me, and give me but the 10 males I have lost, and I'll defy them all. Wither garden, and be henceforth a burying place to all that do dwell in this house, because the unconquered soul of Cade is fled.
Is't Cade that I have slain, that monstrous traitor? Sword, I will hallow thee for this thy deed, and hang thee over my tomb when I am dead. Never shall this blood be wiped from thy point, but thou shalt wear it as a herald's coat, to emblaze the honour that thy master got.
Iden, farewell, and be proud of thy victory. Tell Kent from me, she hath lost her best man, and exhort all the world to be cowards. For I, that never feared any, am vanquished by famine, not by valour.
Dies.
How much thou wrong'st me, heaven be my judge. Die, damned wretch, the curse of her that bare thee. And as I thrust thy body in with thy sword, so wish I might thrust thy soul to hell. Hence will I drag thee headlong by the heels unto a dunghill which shall be thy grave, and there cut off thy most ungracious head, which I will bear in triumph to the king, leaving thy trunk for crows to feed upon.
Exit. End of Act 4.